World. It's another L5R video podcast. We're reviewing Evil Portents, which so far has been a really awesome set. We've been grinding through all the
We're very
personalities.
excited about it. It's very much just set in our wheelhouse. We wish very much the game wasn't coming to a screeching death, but what can you do?
You know, it only dies if we decide that it dies, and we're deciding to look at every single card, and I hope you are with us. Right now, we're
That's
going
right.
through all of the holdings, starting with City of
Checking
Night.
out the City of Night experience.
City of Night. This card just screams Ray Sensei to me. It makes me sad that that deck
No,
never
it
really had
doesn't
its
at all,
moment.
right? Because it doesn't. It's not a home battle. It's got a target spell
I
as a
know, I
battle.
know. It just makes me sad that deck never got its time in the sun. We
Totally.
have a million different ways to get this effect now. There's Way of the Phoenix, there's Jade Ascension. Here's
Yep.
another one. I actually don't think this card is that great. You don't get the follow up. You lose tempo on it. It's like you're hoping that you can cast your Final Ruin and then like they won't do anything to you at all, so that you can just repeatedly use it
Yeah.
again and again. Like the best of these abilities, I think, is Way of the Phoenix because it's a surprise effect. They think, oh, Final Ruin is bowed, so like
Yeah.
I'll target this guy over here, and then like bam, gotcha again.
No follow-up action makes this pretty weak, but it still has some value. Honestly, the force thing is really it's tacked on there. It's very inelegant, but I think it's really necessary because that's where this card would have got its broken power
Oh yeah, for
of
the
like
one for
I have a
one, you
cab
just
guy,
yeah.
I come over here, I burning spirit to gain +2/+2, then I bow this to burning spirit again, and now my holding 70 +2/+2. Like that would have been a really powerful interaction. They sort of headed it off at the pass.
Oh, they didn't mess up a
Um,
little bit though. Do you see the mess up?
no.
So it only doesn't give force bonuses. You can like you cab your guy in and you go like Burning Spirit once for 2 force 2 chi, and then you use City of Night. You Burning Spirit, you still get the 2 chi, and then there's the spell that's like set their force equal to their chi.
Yeah, that's clever. So there are things you can do to get around it. And if they're opposed, you can just burning spirit up some more, right? So, but the point you talked about, the word that comes to mind is tempo. You have to use a battle action to set up another battle action. And as much as L5R is decided by I do a thing, and you do a thing, and I do a thing, and you do a thing, and I do a thing, most battles are not infinitely long. Most battles are not 12 actions. Most battles tend to be 3 or 4 actions, and so you have to sequence and prioritize. This is really great in the big last battle when it's just like do as much possible stuff as you possibly can. And you have like 3 Earth's Embrace and a copy of Earth's Embrace, and then you straighten it and do it again, you get more for. But that's generally not where games are decided, and there's only so many one-for-one holdings you're going to want to play, and I just don't see this ever really making the cut.
I mean, it could be right. It is a powerful effect, and I'm thinking a little bit again about like a Phoenix all in, like not like a Final Ruin attack you deck, but like a sit back and Earth's Embrace bow you deck. This might be better.
Sure.
Um, and like it's certainly like it's a good card. You know, whenever you see like it's a one for one with like a really good power. Like one for ones are easy to set aside and not spend, and like it's not a huge opportunity cost if you don't use this in your dynasty phase and keep it up for battle on the defensive or whatever. It's generically like a powerful effect. It's just that we've seen this effect many many times. We even had it last arc in like the Jade Dojo. You remember there's like the Topaz, like everything had a dojo, every gem had a dojo. The
Yeah, and
Jade
if
one
it
was
was
this, and no
battle
one played it.
open, I'd probably love it because it would be another sort of Shrine to Hachiman effect. It's just a little bit too limited and takes a little bit too much time to come online.
If this was battle open, you think we'd play it? You think that if we could target your Strength of the Fifth Ring with
By
this,
the
we would
way,
we would
by the
play it?
way,
Okay.
yeah.
Next, there's a like good card, but I don't know, sort of doesn't have a home. Defensive
Yep.
Fortification, again, this isn't even a good card, and it should have no home. Like if someone
It's
left
a
this in a basket on their
three for
front door, I would
three
surprise the river.
fortification. We hate siege personalities. We hate fortifications, especially those that make gold. I will say that this is like that's a really powerful interrupt, right? Like just increase a ranged attack +2. Bowing for a range 2 doesn't impress me very much, but that's a really powerful. But you have to have the gold unbowed, right? I mean, it's like, oh, if I got the abbot really early, I can then have a siege abbot somehow. Yeah, it's just
This is
It's just
terrible.
it.
You know what's funny is that like this card, there's like that terrible crab sensei that cares about like non-gold producing fortifications, like, and then you can flip them face up or whatever. Like if this was like didn't make gold, if it was like a 0/0, you know, it would be a
Yeah, you
better
might like.
card. At least it would I'd like get it. I'd get where to put it.
Yeah. So I mean, it goes in my tiny wall deck. That's where it goes.
Yeah.
It's a below average card for a below average deck. You generally want to stay away from those.
It's
That's
probably
generally my
gas
way.
and draft though.
Yeah, probably. Um,
It's like draft this card like crazy and then throw them all away.
On to one of my favorite dojos, the dojo of the Dauntless. I am undaunted. I am the Dauntless, and there's
Hold
a
on, but hold on,
dojo.
whoa. Is this Dojo of the Dauntless or is this Dojo of the Dauntless, the ship? You remember we had like the cards, the Dauntless. Oh wait, no, that was the Deathless. Damn it. All right, keep going.
Um,
This
so
card
it's
is so
another
nuts.
holding. So it's another holding that's just bonkers great with the what is it, the Temple of the Heavenly Crab that you invest that straightens every
Yeah,
straighten phase. So you
and also
play
yeah, there's
three of
the
these,
Abundant Fields.
three ivory courtrooms, and then three of that card, which you might even play then through building. And the whole idea is to just sort of like get this crazy gold acceleration stuff going. And you know that's really powerful. And just after you keep this holding, you may target and straighten a duelist. That's a great trait. Like, that's a fine trait to staple onto a holding. Like you wrote a really great article a while back talking about finding value in your holdings, and one of the best ways to find value into holdings is to not like have a bunch of abilities that require them to be endowed and actions to take. Like one of the reasons Famous Bazaar is great is because it just does its thing,
Yep.
and this just does its thing. Is straightening a duelist better than filling? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but this is a really great card.
My only bone to pick with this card is that the Straighten a Duelist effect has no value on like turn 1 and turn 2 when you want to be buying this card. I guess it gives like a little bit of marginal value as like I attacked on turn 6 or whatever, and I leave this phase of my province and I buy it and like woohoo, I made a conqueror.
I don't even know about this. I think I lobby for the favor, buy this, straighten the guy who lobbied is a perfectly fine interaction.
Sure, but one of the reasons I really like the other one is because you can like buy it, take the favor, and then like immediately cycle. It's sort of like
Sure.
it creates a game state value. This is just a little bit less. So my complaint is that it's not as good as Ivory Court. I'm like, okay, Jesse, great. I'm so glad you're here to
Yeah.
give commentary.
Distinct analysis. Yeah.
Let's talk about
Okay, so
erected watchtower. That's what she said. Hey.
hey, look, Jesse, it's just what you were talking about. What you wanted. It's a fortification that doesn't produce
Stop.
gold.
Don't. You know, when I said okay, hold on. I said the other one should be 0/0. I said it should be
Rewind the
0/0.
tape, everybody. Rewind the tape. Like, I
Rewind
want
the tape. I
40
said if it was zero gold cost and made 0 gold is what I said. I would play that card maybe. This is like nobody plays Carpenter Shrine. Why should anybody play this next card?
People do play Carpenter Shrine. I'm going to quibble with you a little bit on that. People do play Carpenter Shrine, but that's a 2-for-2 holding. This is not a 2-for-2 holding. Can we talk about the bizarre lack of, like, players play Unbound if you control siege personalities. You must have a personality to gain the honor. Like, does that just seems so unnecessary to me. Like, if this just interplayed Unbound and you could do it without people, would that somehow make it good?
Yeah, they're worried about like a fortification faceless honor deck because I can play the fortification sensei and then get a maximum of +3 province strength. Yeah, okay.
I will say that when you make terrible fortifications, which there's so many now, I do like that expendable. I think that just all fortifications should just have expendable stapled on, so that as you're like losing your game because you're playing terrible fortifications, at least you'll get to draw some of your cards and see your deck.
I like the idea that you play terrible fortifications deck, and so you draw like walls of death and need it at the wall after your fortifications are blown up because you're unable to defend them, and it's just like everything about your
Well, you're
deck laughs at
playing
you, and it forces
contractor,
like
go get more terrible
the,
fortifications. Which
the experience of using all these cards together like causes you to never play fortifications
What
again.
what do you want to do with your deck? I wanna make myself feel bad and stupid. I want to give myself the rub. It's like, well, here's some expendable fortifications. Go to town.
It's so good. Let's talk about Kyron's Shrine. The Passes card was good, wasn't it?
Okay, so the first one was the one that people played just to stop me from winning my Ninja deck, old school Dark Path of the Shadow Ninja deck. Really wrecked my day. Then there was the Gold Edition experience, which gave all your dudes +1/+1/+1 if you were Dragon. That was like a 7 gold cost holding that people played rather inexplicably, actually, when I look back on it. But it was a different
It was a
time, you know.
different
And then
time.
not everybody has started their deck with 3 Colot Master, 3 Colot Assassin, which I mean, I can't really explain what was happening there. But, you know, we did have we did have
There were those people. We have to allow for them as
we
well.
did have Chick Chuck by Imperial, whatever that was. It was a weird time. Anyway, so it's been a long time since we've seen the Kirin Shrine.
It
So it
got
shows
good,
up and
man. It's been working
dramatically,
out.
yeah, it's a 1-for-1. It's like it's completely changed its complexion. And then after a karmic action puts this holding into a discard pile, draw a card, and remove this holding
Like
from the
wowie
game.
zowie, dude. Like it just says
I'm okay with that, I guess. And then this holding has +1 when it pays for a single karmic action.
I think this is
So
awesome.
there's a lot of really great 1-for-1s. The best of which is Temple of Destiny. But this is pretty close, I think. Like, I mean, when you karmic it away, which is later in the game, when you don't want to see a holding, it doesn't just give you a new face-up dynasty, it gives you a fate card.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's
That's
really
like
good.
a great extra thing. And the fact that it makes 2 to allow your karmic, like, sort of triggering into itself, I don't know if it's great. It's very good.
I'm saying like so you're forced. It's like you play this as your 1-for-1, and you always buy the first one. But then like the second and third ones, you just use the first one to flush them away. See like more of your dynasty deck. It has like a bit of a rubber duckiness to it on both sides of your deck.
You're right. The fact that you have to karmic it to get the cards, I mean, if it was just one hit the discard, you draw a card, it would be bonkers good.
You know,
I don't know if this will ever be my 1-for-1 because there's a lot of competition. 1-for-1, right?
I mean, there are times like I like 1-for-1s, and I've played as many as 8. I mean, I
Right.
think that's probably too many, but 6 is reasonable, and I could see myself playing 3 of this alongside of 3 Temple of
There's so
Destiny.
many options. This is definitely an option that gets considered in the temple if that ever matters. So, I mean, it's in the thought process. I just don't know. We don't karmic that much, and because I don't karmic a lot, I don't think I would get a lot of production out of this holding, and so that makes me think it's not going to end up being in my final version of decks, but certainly it's a 1-for-1 that I'm going to try in a bunch of different stuff.
I think the decks that they can make a bunch of gold, like Mantis, like corrupt Mantis style decks that just have more gold than they know what to do with. Like this is a great holding for them because it gets them through their deck a little faster, and it's just like more cards, like more card advantage.
Fair enough.
I mean, all this card says is like, while it's face up in a province, pay 2 gold, draw a card. You know, and
Correct.
I think that's
No, you're right. That's absolutely good. I can't. I'm not saying it's a bad card. Like, let's not do that. I'm just saying that I don't know if it's going to be enough gold. Like, at the end of the day, holdings are about how much gold they get you. Like, you play holdings because you need to generate gold to do other stuff. So before I worry about that other stuffness, I need to make sure I'm getting my gold. And I feel like there might just be other 1-for-1 holdings that end up pushing it out another holdings.
Historically, you're mostly true, but holdings that draw cards always are allowed to break those rules and get played. And so this is a holding that draws cards, and we love Temple of Destiny. Mostly, like if Forgotten Legacy didn't exist, this card would be better than Temple of Destiny.
Right.
And in a world where you have Forgotten Legacy and we're like making 4 gold matters, like this card loses a lot of stock, but just because it's like a little tiny bit worse than Temple doesn't mean that it's not in the same league as that card is.
Okay, no, I think that's very trenchant analysis. And so, I mean, it's a card we're going to have, but like, I mean, like, I look at it and I think, like, okay, it's a temple. What do I do with temple? Well, I still play a ton of remote temples in my deck, right? I still play a bunch of remote temples to get my rings.
Well, if you play Brotherhood Sensei, it increases your head size by 1.
There you go. Okay, I think that's the move on point.
This is the move on point in this discussion. The libraries of Kunin Isawa. Quick, Paul, what did Kunin Isawa do when it was a stronghold?
Oh God, was that the one that's like if you have this random elemental trait, you gain a bunch of random stuff, or is that
I
the one that puts stuff under it?
is this? I mean, I have actual no idea. I just know that it was definitely a box, and now we're learning about its libraries.
I'm gonna say it was the one that nobody played from
I thought it was the one that
Emperor.
made your spells two. I thought it was from like Diamond or something, and it made all your spells two less gold.
Two Less Gold was a gold edition one. That was Kundenagasha. I vaguely remember that one.
Anyway, this card is terrible. Don't play it.
Yeah, I mean, is there a combo or something here I'm missing where it's like, so it's a 6 for 5
No.
that bows to draw you a card. That's not very good. But Traveling Petter was 5 gold for one card. So, like, it's not, you could almost something, but like, I can't, I was
The,
looking at it and I can't think, what am I, is there a way to, like, continuously, constantly reattach a spell for, like, is there a 0 cold cost spell that puts itself into your hand that somehow triggers with these that would allow you to draw through your deck?
it doesn't matter because
Like, that's,
this bows to do it, man. Like you have to not only have a spell that you can complete, like you can bounce back and forth from your hand to the ground, but you also have to have a way to continuously re-straighten all of these libraries of Kundin Iswa. Like
well,
there
then
are,
you can only use one per turn. The fact that they had that you can't use another Kundeniswa this turn made me think that there might be some kind of gimmick. Like, if there's a 0 gold cost spell that has its own ability, like return it to your hand somehow, and I could go like play it, bounce it, and then on your next turn play it. I can't.
but this
I haven't
bows
found.
the libraries bows to draw the card.
Sure, but if I can use one library on my turn, one library on their turn, and so I'm still drawing multiple cards off my one spell.
But
I'm
it's
reaching around my head a
I
lot here.
know,
I'm going
I know.
on
Like
Mr. Fan.
it's just
I just
I'm baffled by this card. Like
it
this
seems
is so
so
low on the power.
unplayably bad to me. It seems so terrible that it makes me think I must be missing some kind of inspiration.
The fact that they're blocking you from spending 15 gold plus the cost of the spell. So like we'll be generous and say it's like a 0 gold cost spell, but really like you're paying 2 or 3 gold for the spell, and then you're paying 15 gold. So for a grand total of 18 gold, you can play a card and draw 3 cards to like net yourself
That's
two
too much.
cards, and like that's
Too
too
very.
busted. Like what could possibly? I am just not permitted. Like L5R design has a restraining order on anything that I think because like I talk about letting cards be good and then they print libraries of
Yeah.
Kunisua. And like there's no reason why this card couldn't just be a 6 for 5 open or like limited bow draw card. You know what I mean? And like people would still not play that card, but it would see some fringe play from people like me that just can't draw enough cards. Because it's a 6 for 5. Like you could, so how can you justify bowing your 6 for 5 to draw a card unless you have like the abbot in play?
We have now spent more time on this card than any of you fellow viewers should spend on this card. Do not go down this rabbit hole. It's a bad place to be.
I was talking about the master of Clearwater Dojo. Dude, they lift at Clearwater Dojo. Like these guys are not. They're doing some. They're not skipping bicep day.
That's a
They're not
CrossFit
skipping
guy,
shoulders
man.
day. Like they're
He has
lifting.
like a 17 pack, I think. Like, I'm trying to count the number of episodes. I think he has one too many. I don't think that's an actual.
He actually has
He
like a 9. He's got like a 15
like,
pack
if you
going
look
on.
like in his armpit zone, it looks like he might actually have like muscles that are not human muscles. He might have like found something new. You should do a Google search of like human musculature.
His-
I think they've invented a few new muscles just for this guy.
Oh man. Okay, so this guy is ripped. They lift at Clearwater Dojo. This
The card is ripped, right? So Coastal Lane is a card that a lot of people are playing in a bunch of copies. We were never as excited about it as everybody else, but I understand why people play the 46 card deck with because getting a 4 for 5 on turn 1 is really good. Guess what this lets you do?
yeah. You can never. It becomes a 2 for 3. It can never be a 0 for 3, right? Like you can't buy 3 dojos and then this and get 0.
No, it's not one less for each. It's just it can become a 2 for 3. But going forward in Onyx Edition, okay. So they were going to get rid of clan holdings. One of the great mistakes they made with gold pooling was clan holdings, right? Because 2 clan holdings on turn 1 was just like debilitatingly good.
Yeah.
I think you see this as like sort of where 2 for 3s would come from. So like the best start, assuming you have a 4 gold box, you can still generally get is still 2 of your clan holdings, and the next best start is a Coastal Lane. But now there's another complexion of a great start where you can go some other dojo plus this, and that would be acceptable. And there are other better starts actually. You can do like a 1-for-1 holding with Temple of the Heavenly Crab, and then use Temple of the Heavenly Crab in the off turn to buy Ivory Courtroom, and that's like a 4-for-5 there. But at the end of the day, holdings are about good production. This is a holding that can give you good production, so this is a good holding. It's not great because you need a lot of other dojos to get it moving. So I don't know how much
in a post clan holding world, this card makes a lot of sense. I think now it's just like a head scratcher, and it's not that great.
It reminds me a lot of like the mind schemes where there's like the mind that thinks for the other minds and stuff, where it's like you really need to get to a certain saturation point before that becomes the card you're really excited to play.
Yeah.
But it's still a fine card. And it does the thing that you want in set design. You want your cards to do. It gets people to like pay attention in like the keyword game on their holdings, and it gets them looking like, okay, are there any other dojos that I can take advantage of this and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. The only downside is that it can be hit with Call Out Assassin. Boom. Moving on.
Boom.
Retired Scholar. These cards exist. I think we already have like this exact card that just for any attachment it becomes a 3. Like
just like we were talking about a moment ago, so this one's like the library one. Like are there any
worthwhile libraries to play? Like, I couldn't tell you.
Library?
Small library.
Yeah, well, small library is completely outclassed in this set. We'll get there, but I think the best one might be the library. So there are libraries worth playing, right? So this is another one of those sort of 2-for-3s for the future. And it's a good one. It makes 3 gold to attach my favorite spell ever, or at least my favorite spell of Ivory Edition Arc 20 Festival Arc, which is terrific. So I mean, this is another one of those fine holdings that it's karmic too, so it works with the temple, which is also a library. I think City of Night Experience is a library, not that it would matter.
Okay, let's talk about Shadowless Strike Dojo, another 1-for-1 with a whole mound of text. So, Paul, you start talking, and I'll do my thing over here.
You're going to read through it. So, we have seen, over the course of the history of L5R, there's been a ton of holdings that are, like, dualisty stuff, right? We've seen them that, like, there's one that, like, pick up duelist cards and give bonuses to duelists. This is probably the lamest of that suite of cards. Like, of all the like holdings that interact with from private dojo that gave the Fear Boost, to Suma Dojo, which is the Lotus Edition one that like picked up your cards, like, and everything in between. This is the one that I was just the most like super disappointed in. So you can target your duelist with one of your shadowless. Like if you have 3 of them, it doesn't matter. You only get to use 1 for the turn, because otherwise that's just it could be broken. So what does it give you? It gives you +1 force while opposed, and then if and only if you're facing someone in a duel with higher chi, you get to gain +1 chi. So it lets you like get up to equal. It's just so lame. It's just like I'm sure there's situations where it's like, oh man, I want to play my sanctioned duel and to target your guy there, but all your guys are 4 chi and my duelist is 3 chi, so I'm gonna bow this, so now my guy is 4 chi, so I can play my sanctioned duel. Like, I get it. And people are gonna play this card in triple because it goes in those duelists. And
it's a rare, dude.
It fills that gap, like it fills that space. It's like, oh, I need something to just I need my chi to just be a little bit higher. But just like having seen so many holdings over the course of the game that do things with duels, I'm so disappointed in this. All that text for like +1 chi, if you're a duel deck and you're constantly not having enough chi, you're gonna have to play some weapons or different personalities.
My eyes actually glossed over this one while I was reading it.
You couldn't make it all the way through to the end.
I mean, I did. Like, I got like halfway, and then I lost the thread, so I had to like go and start halfway in the middle. Why can't it just say like battle open, target your duelist, target your opposed duelist, give him +1/+1. He may not be targeted by Shadowless Strike Dojo this time.
If you had to be opposed, you wouldn't be able to do it as open. I was trying to think of like.
Are you gonna say open and doesn't have to be opposed? Like, man, it's like a 1 force, like this like unopposed +1 force, and like we've already seen another 1-for-1 holding that gives +2 force, so it's not even like dangerous from a design standpoint. Duelist Force is super low.
There's a lot of fear that they're going to make. Like, what was the holding in Diamond that's like, give your guy plus Force plus G equal to the number of rings you have, like Temple of the Ages or something like that. You remember that one?
Oh, Temple
Where
of the
like
Ages. That card is so good.
it was a promo that was sort of poorly
and then
playtested.
you'd make your like 15-15 guy and like duel.
Yeah, and that's how you would sort of win. That's how you would win all these duels and stuff. Just give you guys these huge.
Okay, but if it's a +1/+1, like you haven't answered my question, it's a +1/+1 that says it cannot be targeted by another Shadowless Strike Dojo this turn. Like you don't bury that. I feel like this card buries the lead a little bit. It's like you're trying to like figure out what it does, and like you get to the +1 force, and then you're already exhausted, so you kind of miss the like, oh yeah, it gives me like a 1 cheat bump. It pisses me off that every single dual player is going to play this because Crane players are completely predictable and they love cards like this. It pisses me off that this card doesn't ever allow you to play Enlightenment. You can't like use it on your 2G duelist guy.
Well, you
and then
can.
use 3.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. Like, if the purpose is to just sort of level off cheat plateaus and make sure your dual decks are never just over cheat, I have a couple of problems with that. Okay, there's more to talk about. There's a lot of complaints. My first is that people trying to meta dueling by having higher chi, even if it's just 1 or 2 points of higher chi, the fact that it can now be sort of overcome by this obnoxious, stupid little holding, that's pretty frustrating from their end, right? Like, I went through all the work to, like, make sure I got my guys all up to 5 chi so you wouldn't be able to duel them. Oh, and now you've managed to get your guy to 5 chi by using your stupid holding, and oh, you're going to win the duel now because you have higher focus. Like, duelist players are going to think they're being really tricky when they're not. They're just sort of taking advantage of, like, random 1+1 bonusy stuff, and like that's pretty frustrating for me. The other thing that's frustrating for me is like if you want this to just be like, you know, get a way to get through the cheap plateau, you could just have it say like target your duelist, target a guy, set his chi equal, be done.
Yeah, there's plenty of things. Like, I mean, yeah, okay.
I don't know. It's a lot of text, and I've talked down about it because I don't like it because I think it's so weak comparatively. But it's a fine 1-for-1 holding. You're going to see it triplicate in pretty much every dual deck because it gives them a way to.
If L5R cards were still worth the cardboard they were printed on, this would be a $20 rare, and like that's eye rolling to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's talk about Shensi's Last Hope. Maybe that'll make me happier.
Is this the first conversion of a region into a holding? I think it might be.
Potentially. I mean, that's a trivia question.
Wow. Do you remember Shensi's Last Hope, the region? Because I do.
Is that the one that's like you had that cared about pH if you were attacking it?
No, it's a follower one. It's like when you could reduce the cost of a follower by 2.
Yeah. It was like free gold for producing followers. It was a rat, right?
We managed to find a place in our lives and in our decks for a region that would allow you to make 2 gold. Originally in Lotus too. It was a Lotus.
Yeah, it was a Lotus. It was a rat, so it was like it reduced by 2 to a minimum of 1. Anyway, so this is like a 4-for-4. We haven't seen a lot of 4-for-4s for a long time, and now we're starting to like dip our toes back into that pool.
This would have been one of the chasers. So we know Productive Mind is in Onyx because of the Siege decks. This would have been the other sort of chasey 4-for-4 for Onyx moving forward. And this is a really great 4-for-4 because it's a 4-for-4 that also does something else, and it's not a stupid fortification. So
yeah, this card is totally awesome. Like, you don't use the battle a lot because 4 gold is a lot to hold up, but in the end game, like we've talked about, your final 2 armies are clashing together and it's a huge mess. Well, here's my -2 force, or like LOL randomly -4 force.
Yep. I mean, it's great. I mean,
there's not a lot to say about this card. It's like such a blatantly powerful card. It's excellent gold.
In the land of post battle, I mean, this would have been the true sort of $20 JC card that has to be put in starters to stop people from beating it.
Absolutely, this would be the new JPI.
Yep.
It's sad that I'm not going to say as much about this as I did about the last one, but like this card's total gas. Like, put it in your deck.
I think it's so straightforwardly powerful. I thought the other card, like, you know what deck it's going in, you know they're going to play it in triplicate, but it's not actually that good. But there will be times when it's good, and those times will just be really annoying for the opponent.
All right.
So it's a idea.
Hey!
Let's talk. So Jesse,
continuing the theme of straightforwardly awesome cards, we get
Spirit
Spirit
Sisters Dojo. What a mistake.
Which would
What a
also have
mistake, dude.
could also have been a $20 rare, but instead they made it a common, so they did us that.
Really good favor they pulled for us. So like every deck is already playing Famous Bazaar, right? Because like Dynasty, like okay, Dynasty deck access is one of the key components to L5R. You see 4 shiny Dynasty cards every turn. When you lose a province, you've lost the ability to see them. It slows down your production. It slows down your stuff. Everything about the game is designed around the fact that you are throttled by the number of Dynasty cards that you can see in every turn. Every time you buy a gold is an opportunity cost to having not bought a personality. And from a deck construction standpoint, there's an interesting tension of like if you play too many holdings and you get those flood turns on like 3 or 4 and you don't see any guys, it's disastrous and you lose the game.
Correct. All true.
Cards like this threaten that balance. And like when they're marginal cards, like there's one in the whole format, it's like a 2-for-2 and 2-for-2s aren't well poised, like Famous Bazaar, like okay. When it's like a goofy ass holding that nobody wants to play with like potential upside with like a bad 2-card combo like Jade Bazaar, okay. When it's on like something golden efficient that you're not really going to put into decks because this is economy edition, like in the past you maybe could have played it because you can afford to like lose 1 production, but now you can't anymore, like small library. Okay. 3-for-3s are the premier gold producing holdings of L5R. And this is the best holding currently in print.
Okay, so I'm gonna counterpoint you a little bit. This is definitely the new Lion Clan holding. Every Lion deck plays this in triplicate. I think that there is a point of contention on the frequency with which 3-for-3 holdings are now played. We're living in a post-JPI world, and there is definitely some acknowledgement of 3 gold cost holdings because Forgotten Legacy is a 3 gold cost holding, and so you play that and some 1 golds. I think that a lot of gold schemes tend to still be built around the 2-for-2 because you want to hit the Yahtzee with the clan holdings and stuff. So I think there's an argument that most decks aren't actually playing 3-for-3 type holdings, right? You're not actually seeing Jade.
Sure, maybe. They will be now.
But there will be now. And every deck that has a 3 gold starting box, every deck that played Swana Dojo plays this in triplicate, no question.
I think every deck has to play this card in triplicate. And I think
I will say is that my Lion decks all were playing like Deep Harbor in concert with Famous Bazaar because I value that effect so much. And I'm still going to do that. I'm just also going to add this to it. You know,
right, but I'm saying like there's no reason why like every deck can't start with like 3 Spirit Essence Dojo, 3 Famous Bazaar, like 3 Deep Harbor.
Well, the answer is because you might be building to a point where you play 3 productive Lion, 3 whatever that experienced holding is we just looked at. And, like we might be getting to a point where you're just playing 16 4-for-4s. Right, and like you build your deck that way. Maybe, but this is a great holding.
But I'm saying like the accelerative potential here of like having all these different holdings, like just Famous Bazaar, like people throw that in their decks like crazy.
Well, you have to remember this is a card designed for the post rotation, right? This isn't like this wasn't a card designed to be played in conjunction with Famous. It's assuming Famous rotates out. Like
okay, but it exists with Famous, right? Right now.
I agree.
So like in a deck with all 6 of those effects, like
but you have to give design a little bit of leeway to plan forward and ahead, right? Like I guess you should say, I guess you can make the argument they should have waited till Onyx to print that card. Yeah,
of course. No, I think that like you know it's having 6. Like I'm playing like a 34 card Dynasty deck with efficient gold, and you're playing a 46 card deck because you're playing some wacky ass scheme like coastal lane thing. Or if you're playing Mantis and you're playing 3 of this, 3 Famous plus some corrupt gold, some Lane of Immorality, and then you've also got your Shika Sensei stuff going at the same time. Like you'll be done with your deck. You're done with your Dynasty deck on like turn 5, and like your entire swarm's out, and you've got like 70 gold, and like how this card is just nutso.
It's an awesome card, and it's the worst kind of powerful card, like Temple of Destiny, where it's like it's really good, and it's good in a straightforward way, and you don't have to sacrifice any production, and means you probably should. And it's not even like interesting, right? So like you didn't even.
Yeah, it absolutely has that Temple of Destiny problem of like. it just sucks all the oxygen out of the room. Like they can't print utility 3-for-3s anymore. Like a 3-for-3 has to
Yep.
be like.
And it makes it like a Phoenix personality. It's like I refill face up, and I'm a 2-2-for-5 Shugenja. It just makes a card like that look so terrible because it's like whatever. I can get that on a 3-for-3 holding.
Right. Then I'm
Get
gonna
out.
buy anyway, and then I've got a bunch of gold, and I just keep buying more stuff. Yep.
So that's another really awesome. So we did 2 really awesome holdings. So now comes our third really awesome holding in
Temple of
the First Seal. Which this could just I feel like this is like they made those and then they put this one knowing we were gonna do our set reviews. So they're just like, see guys, we know how to make really terrible cards that are just straight terrible too. How do you make a really terrible card? Make a 2-for-2 holding that bows, not to make a fair effect. No. Just to increase a fair effect by a strength of 1.
So
Okay,
do they know that Carrion's Breath is legal?
I don't.
Do you know that Carrion's Breath
feel
is legal? Do you know what Carrion's Breath does?
I do know that Carrion's Breath is legal because I've played it in draft, and I know that it is give a fair effect plus 1 strength. But it's like all of them in a unit, maybe? Question mark?
It's just like it's an open. You have to target the guy because it's reformatted from a different time back in Gold
Sure.
when it was first printed out of that like original Daigatsu box that made the
Sure.
fear effects.
Does it have an honor loss? This doesn't have an
Yeah,
honor
it doesn't
loss.
have an honor loss. So it's like they decided like, oh, Carrion's Breath, we'll put that in because it's fear, and then it's not good enough because it has an honor loss. So like we'll remake it, whatever. Play it in draft and then throw them away. Let's talk about the Feeding Hills. Great Kotai, definitely go.
Great location, great Kotai, great. I'm glad to see that this art is terrible, right? We can agree on that.
I like it. I like it. I think it's like, I mean, it's bad. It's a bad picture. Like it's not, but I kind of like the kitsch.
Fair enough.
I like the goofy on the nose part.
It has. I think it has like. I think that there's a if it's surreal. If this is like a dream of a crab samurai, like I don't want this place to exist in Rokugan. I want it has a very surrealistic element to it, right? You know, like this dude had a dream wandering around, and oh my god, this thing ate me up. Okay, so let's talk about the holding. 3-for-3 holding, so acceptable.
Yep.
After play, you lose honor, whatever. We're playing with the sensei. This holding plays for 1 gold less for each Shadowlands follower and personality control. So now I want to emphasize the difference here. This isn't it's 1 less if you have these things. It's for each of these things, it's less.
So just saying, Wowie Zowie.
It's breeding grounds, right? I mean, it's like it's a 3-for-3 breeding ground.
It's a 3-for-3 breeding
But wait,
grounds.
there's more.
But wait, there's more about Australian Oni. This card is awesome.
That's a real ability right there. Like straight, this card is great. It's an awesome holding for the Oni deck. It's an
awesome holding for Mantis. Like if you control Voitagi, it's a 2-for-3. Like come on.
Yeah. It's like, well, let's say I got an early Voitagi and I put on a Goblin Chucker, so I guess this is a 1-for-3. Like that's
right.
That's really good.
Like it's just totally crazy good. I think that like we talked a little bit off camera. We did the unaligned review and we didn't talk about like the potential of the Oni. Wow, I can't get my thoughts together. Okay, we talked about the potential of the Oni Sensei as just a gold production sensei, and like you just change nothing in your deck. You just like don't play Oni, just play awesome gold, and this would be a component of that.
Yeah, just play guys who don't have honor X. Like you play you build a Scorpion military deck. And then you give it -1 gold production to start, but then you play Swan Dojos and Lanes and Soul and Safe Bits and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean that's something worth exploring.
Yeah, and Feeding Hills, then you throw in like Skeletal Troops and Goblin Chukkas, and you're all like,
this like the fact that this makes it into like big deck horde stuff where it's like it fits right as long as Corrupt Silver.
That tells you how good this card is. Because Feeding Grounds was good, but it was always just too small. Like, the fact that this fixes that problem. And the more I look at this picture, man, the more it grows on me. Like, I do hope it is, like, a dreamy thing, but it's kind of, like, kitsch. I don't know. It's, like, goofy cute. I like it.
Yeah, no, I think it has a playfulness to the art that is sort of refreshing and not, it's not just, you know what I like about it? In a game that has a lot of homogeneity to the art, because there's only so many ways to draw a samurai, there's definitely art that stands out. This is art you remember.
For sure. All right, the Ikama Hall is also a stronghold, I believe.
Yeah, I believe the Great Halls of the Ikama was a stronghold.
Okay, we can assume it's the same one. It is a library to use with your retired guy, your retired scholar.
More importantly, we were just talking about like this holding's not big enough or whatever. So this is like Temple of Destiny. Like if you were some kind of crazy person that couldn't talk yourself into playing Temple of Destiny because it's a 1-for-1, well,
I do like that they fixed it. So Temple of
let me
Destiny,
see what
yeah,
I can interest you in. Here is a 3-for-3 Destin card. Now,
yeah, it's actually not a
you have
Destin
to
card.
maybe discard a card
You'll
if
always
you have a
discard
bunch
a
of.
card. So the problem is that like if it's your 3-for-3, you've got to buy it on one. So like on one, it's only a cycle. So like they fixed it. But this Temple of Destiny should have been this card. Like one for
Yeah.
one, draw a card. If you've got four more, discard a card. Because like one for one, just straight rip is two over the top, and even 3-for-3, just straight rip is two over the top. So like even as Jesse Grabowski, like card drawing addict, I recognize that this is a much better design card than Temple of Destiny. I love it. It's a
And we still like this. I still like this card. I play the dragon guy that's destined that makes you discard a card, right? I mean, I like this
Yeah,
card.
I
I
still
still
play this
like.
card. No one's gonna play it because we're all
I
spoiled by
am.
Temple of Destiny.
If you have enough discipline cards, right? Like you can still get a little bit of graveyard wonkiness. Play the desiccated with it. Discard the desiccated.
Plus, again, the 3-for-3 slot is super crowded, and you should all be playing Spirit, whatever. Spirit Essence's Dojo over this.
Sure. Okay. We're getting
Iron
towards the
Mountain School. So
This is so
Paul,
we spent.
I love
we're
weapon
spending
artists.
we're spending an inordinate amount of time on 6-for-5 holdings, which nobody plays because production matters a lot. The only people who play 6-for-5 holdings are us because we have a thing for Merchant Atoll, and I guess a total bureaucrat happened, but not really.
I told Bureaucrat's the real deal, man. But so this
Weapon
is
Artist. I played Weapon Artist School of Wizards. Anyway, this is a card that's just like I don't even, man.
what is this Twitter? This is a card. I'm gonna stop you right there. Like that's the official enough talk commentary for Iron Mountain School.
It's a
This
dojo.
is a card.
So I play Weapon Artist. I've played Weapon Artist in the Abbot. I have a bunch of these big gold type decks that played a bunch of Weapon Artists that was like Forgotten Legacy and a holding on one, Weapon Artist and maybe a clan holding on two, and played big stuff. A lot of times I played it with School of It, and I really liked my Weapon Artists. And so when I read this card at first, I kind of wanted to love it, except
Once
it's
per
once
game.
per game, +2, +1. I think
It's like you
that
can't even give it like a +2/+2 item, you know?
right. So that's actually not bad, right? So a 6-for-5 holding that also gives you like if this holding was like when you buy this 6-for-5 holding, it also made a +2/+1 guy. It would be a little dude plus a 6-for-5 holding, and you could sort of say, well, there's actually some value there. It's sort of two cards in one, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I looked at Iron Mountain. But the fact that it's only once per game just really brings it down. But I'd still be okay with it, except for the fact that you have to target a stupid duelist. It just drives me nuts. Like, why is that? Like, why? Why can't I give my non-duelist Kensei a +2/+1/1? Like, this would be great in
It'd be too
Kensei
good,
if I could
man.
just target any guy.
I agree.
Like, this just drives me nuts.
That's a really good point. And like that's like this is like totally the
Ugh.
wrong application of the Keatwood game. I guess they're trying to like give some sort of bonus to like all the like because there's always little duelists scattered through all the clans now, and like here's your little upside for it. But it's not even an upside. Like it's a +2/+1 weapon, and you're already paying for it because it produces 5 and makes cost 6. Like if this made a 2/1 guy, like a 2-force 1-chi guy, like that'd be a much better card. It'd be a much different card. And it'd be a card that I'd be talking about all the different brewery ideas and what can you do with this little Toku guy that you get with this card. But like a 2/1 weapon ain't a 2/1 guy, and this doesn't make the cut anywhere.
So one of the things we haven't acknowledged specific, so like there's all these holdings are sort of referenced to old strongholds, right? They're just referenced old, like the Iron Mountain Storm School clearly referenced the Iron Mountain Dragon strongholds, right?
I remember that one.
Talked
That was
about-
the one with 8 proc strength that you couldn't cavalry attack.
Do you remember what it did? I will give you $100 right now if you tell me what it did.
Did it give a guy tattooed?
God damn it! You nailed it! You nailed it! How did you cheat? You nailed
No,
it!
I remember my buddy played that one back when I was a kid.
You had to You had to bow it to give a guy tattoo.
Oh, L5R. Never change.
I got nothing to do. I'll spend 4 gold to give this guy tattoo. What does that do? Well, let me like play these crappy tattoo cards later on in the game.
The one that, like the Mitsu tattoo, like the one that gave it Mitsu wasn't bad.
I believe I will call Dragon Tattoo having some applications at various points. Make 0 tokens. That was a phrase that came up a time or two in my day. I remember doing that.
All right, so Iron Man, you're making a point before we start talking about Feta.
So anyway, so Iron Man is a clear reference to. Do you know what the very first like Dragon deck I built in Gold Edition with Iron Mountain was?
What's
It
that?
was a deck that featured a bunch of guys that said they attached 2 weapons. The Kensei trait didn't exist yet, but I'm just saying, like, Dragon, they play Kensei. Maybe the Iron Mountain school could, I don't know, interact with non-duelist Kensei. Was that asking too much? Am I going crazy here?
You're not going crazy, Paul. You're going
No.
insane.
This is actually a near miss for a card for me. There's a lot of little things you could do to make this a really sort of sweet card.
Yeah, like
that would want to play this as a 6 or 5 as opposed to just like a card I draft because you need holdings for draft.
But like one thing that like the thing about 6 for 5 is that like it's not like the economic hit from a 6 for 5 isn't as big as people think, and like there is space in decks for like 3 6 for 5s if you're playing like an otherwise like really tight gold scheme. And so there's no reason why they couldn't have made like a really cool card where it's like you get like some cool unique like weapon built into this thing that's like like a +3/+2 weapon, like one-handed weapon with like a little battle ability, where like you really wanted to put this into Kensei decks, and like it would be this neat little push towards a different kind of gold scheme.
One of the things I've talked about with people when building their decks, and I think it's sort of a lost thing, is we're so mathematically imposed on like production this and production that. One of the things that I really like about 6 for 5 holdings and weapon art is 7 for 6. I really like weapon art a lot. Is that there's something to be said for playing these bigger holdings that sort of count as 2 holdings, right? Because it lets you sort of cheat on your goal. It lets you play just sort of 16-ish holdings, but still, because some of those holdings count as 2, have the production value of like 2 holdings. It lets you get more
bang
like
for your dynasty card.
And that means that later on in the game, once you've developed your gold, you're less likely to have these really terrible dynasty side flips. And those are the little edges, the little differences in deck construction that really go a long way towards giving you wins over the course of a tournament, right? Like
they're also really invisible. Yeah, those sorts of deck advantages. I think it's too easy that like when your turn 6 flip is like 2 guys 2 gold versus 3 guys 1 gold to say like, well, it's just bad luck. But these like CCGs are the luck games, and it's all about stacking the odds in your favor. And you're right that bigger holdings like 6 for 5s or 7 for 6s have a place of like you flip guy Iron Mountain, but like that's like you flipped 5 provinces and you got 2 3 for 3s, or like a 3 for 3 and a 2 for 2. So that'll having been said, I'm never going to play this holding, but I do think that it's a missed opportunity, and I think that 6 for 5s will go down as like a thing that was never fully fleshed out in a gold pooling world, because they were great. They were great in late Celestial.
Yeah, Celestial really with the border keep area. There was a Diamond Mind era where like cards like Diamond Mind were playable because you started with a 4 gold box, and then the border keep made 6 on 1, and so your first turn was buy a 6 or 5. That was just a different time. So, okay, we're to the last of it with the holdings. Not the last of it for this video. We're gonna do we got a little bonus round. We're doing Mayo records. This is
a total head scratcher. I don't get it. I don't know.
Like there's the spell that transfers spells. I don't know what so. Can you come up with any applications? I do have a fun application.
There's the one spell, the like Blessings of the Air, that when you move it, when it attaches to a guy. No, because transference isn't attaching. I got nothing.
Okay, so here is my sort of reach around my head to touch my nose. I'm playing Strength of the 9th ring, or Strength of the 5th ring.
Yes.
So maybe I don't have straighten effect, so I could go like bow my Shugenja and Strength of the 5th ring to draw a card, and then use my Shrine to Hachiman to straighten my Strength of the 5th ring, and then use this thing to transfer Strength of the 5th ring to a different Shugenja that like I just bought so that he can bow to draw a card. That's what I got.
You know what's funny is that I will do anything and everything to draw cards, and that is not appealing to me at all.
Yeah, I mean it's terrible. There's nothing here. I mean it's just sorry. It's just the fact that it's like if this could be a 2-for-2 holding with tireless open, same ability. Like you don't have to bow it. Just tireless open moves spells around
Yeah,
willy
like
nilly.
I just don't get it.
It would still be of questionable value. It's just not.
Like it's such a head scratcher. Yeah.
It reeks of like we need a 2-for-2 holding. It needs to do something because we don't make just two blank 2-for-2 holdings for draft, and so that's what they gave us. And whatever.
All right, so that was the holdings. Holdings overall.
Bonus round. I'm not done. Bonus round.
I was gonna wrap up the holdings and then do the bonus round.
Okay. We don't have to rate holdings, right? Because they're holdings.
All right, fine. I was just gonna say 10 for 10, play the 3 for 3 and the 4 for 4.
Okay, that's fair. I will say -2, log 6.
Okay, -2 log 6. Okay, let's go on to the events, starting with Ominous Revelations. I hate this card.
Wait. That's not the first alphabetically. The first alphabetically is Battle of the First Seal.
Okay, my bad. I clicked on the wrong spot. So first alphabetically is Battle of the First Seal. Dark times are coming. Defensive thing for...
So high pH guys get a penalty, low pH guys get a bonus. You're never going to play this card, so who cares?
I mean, is there a defensive thing? Like if I'm playing some kind of like weird honor deck, like do I want this to brick like their attackers as like a pseudo the play
against
spread
Lion?
kind of
You
card?
played it as Lion meta or something?
Like, Lion and like you hit a guy here and there against Unicorn, like you hit a guy here and there against Crab.
The deck that would play it is something that like goes gold on turn 1. I mean, I actually built a deck like this after 20 festivals. It would be like a Lion Blitz deck that goes like gold on turn 1, 2 Voitagis on turn 2, blow this event so I'm attacking with 8 force on my 3rd turn, and not have to play contentious terrain. Like that's the kind of deck that would play this card.
So like if I'm playing this offensively, why don't I play Return of Myth instead?
Well, because Return of Myth only works for non-humans, and this works with humans.
Right, but I'm playing Voitagi.
Voitagi is human.
Blowout City, dude.
Okay, so I mean, you're never gonna play this card, but like that's the fact that it doesn't work with followers because they don't have personal honor. It's just it's a fun card to print because it has a bunch of room for flavor text.
Yeah, it's a cool flavor card, and I think that there's room in L5R sets for cards like these.
Yeah, it's a fine card. It might be a draft winner. It might really come together in a good draft mode. Okay, Ominous Revelation is
I was talking. I hate this card. I hate cards like this card because they have 2 modes. This is a card like I talked in the initial 20 festivals video about Genpuku, where it's a card that like 90% of the time you look at the card and it's like this is stupid trash, and like Genpuku obviously never did anything. It doesn't matter. But their existence is just like design tempting fate. Like this isn't an interesting effect that you want in the game. Unique events are unique for a reason. If they print a powerful unique event and then you have the ability to tutor for it with like 3 other copies of the same event, like then you've broken the uniqueness and you've made either a degenerate deck or you've created an effect that just forces you to print nothing but bad events that you don't want to play for the rest of the time. Because if anything's too good, then you can just tutor them up.
It's really odd. So I can't think of a lot of unique events. I can think of a few. So the first one that came to mind is the New Order. Like that's a unique honor meta thing. So I could play a couple of these to make sure I get my New Order to blow up my province. So like I would play maybe 1 copy of this that I would invest, and then my New Order. So then I'm playing sort of 2 copies of the New Order. And okay, that's an application, but you're right. Just don't make the New Order unique, and then it's not an issue, right? Because if someone plays 3 copies of the New Order, they're not going to blow up the province 3 times. So who gives a crap, right?
Yep.
What else is unique? There's enlistment is unique but symmetrical. I guess if you really want enlistment, I can't think of much else. Can you think of anything else?
There's not
that's
like
unique?
as unique ones. I can't. But then you start thinking about like non-unique stuff, and so okay, I'm playing a Blitz deck, and I want access to 6 copies of my Return of Myth or whatever. Like,
and if nothing else, it's just like it gets my glimpses of the unicorn faster. I will say my real problem with this card is that it's the same problem that I have with for the famous Bazaar and the Holding we talked about. This is another card that I can just play a ton of copies of to like compress my Dynasty deck into a much smaller Dynasty deck.
Actually, you know
And
what? I
I
just
think
cracked it.
that's a real dangerous place to
I
be.
think so too. And I cracked it. It's the Blessing. You play this with like the Blessing and Hero Sensei. Of just like
Yeah,
you have
bless.
6 copies of the one that like increases my holding. So I just go like this gets Blessing by my holding bless, like refill face up. So it's like you like ominous revelations for the thing, and then you do the thing, and then Hero Sensei face up. So you've like thin 2 cards out of your deck or thin 3 cards out of your deck.
Yeah, that's really good. And I know what the thought process is. The thought process is like you'll play 2 ominous revelations and then like 1 the new order and 1 something else. I don't know, coronation event. Like, well, sometimes we're gonna. But what this is gonna be is it's gonna be a compression card, and I
Oh,
think the is a great.
we forgot. I forgot a unique event that's in. I like this unique event. It is symmetrical though, so I don't know if we'll be willing to play it or not. But we could always get Wisdom Gain.
Wisdom Gain's a perfect one. The siege card that like is win the game if you have all the thunders, like it'll let you tutor for that. I assume that's unique, but I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, I'm
But
positive.
it'll let
It
me
must
like,
be.
oh, I finally have all my thunders. I'll go get my win condition now.
I
But
just like I said, like
so
this is a card like I mean this card is it's not offensive and like it might give you some dynasty motion like some dynasty edge with some cleverly built decks, but overall I think it's just not the kind of like it's not the path I ever want to see us going down, you know? Like
It's a
Alf,
dangerous card. I wish they hadn't. I just wish they hadn't, really. I mean, I
the
just
days
don't
like
think that.
I was around when we were playing Boundless Sight, A Time of Destiny, and a New Wall all in the same deck in like every single deck. And like those were that wasn't a good time for L5R.
It wasn't, and this is you have to be very careful with search. A lot of search hasn't been offensive so far, because so much of what L5R has become is about having enough guys and enough stuff and enough actions to take. Where
Mm-hmm.
like using an action and wasting a card to search for a card becomes of a questionable play. In fact, a lot of times it was a bad play, right?
Yep.
But in this case, if it's searching for something that's going to just straight give you value, like the Blessing, or what's the event that they reprinted in 20 festivals, like discard some cards to draw some cards, and you
Yeah,
play
yeah,
Discipline.
yeah. A new
Just
year
using
festival
it,
or whatever.
right? And this is just an accelerant card for those kinds of
Does any
things.
deck that can play cards like that, yeah, that it just doesn't because it
You
refills
just
face
go,
up, you know, so it just completely
yeah, you
replaces
go
itself. It's
all
just
the
a total
way.
blank
Yeah,
slot in the
just it
deck.
completely replace itself. So, as long as you have enough other events, and people don't play a lot of events, so I guess maybe this will get them to play it. I don't. I
But
think it
like
was probably bad design, but it's a good card and it's
there
gonna
were
get
some Hero
played.
Sensei decks at Gen Con, and that was one of the things we had talked about as we had missed in
Yep.
our testing of like just slapping Hero
Yeah.
Sensei onto some military
A
shells and
lot
a
of a
couple of
lot of them
events.
were honor decks, and this can even be played in honor decks just as a way to get your coronation festival. So now I don't have to play multiple coronation festival. I can play one coronation festival and one, I don't know, wisdom gained and 3 of this, and just
Yeah.
move on that way. So
Okay, last one is War of the Spirit Realms. Here, okay, well, I just found a card that we can get with our ominous revelations.
this is another searchy card. Now this is a card that is sort of more interesting to us because when we get to the fate, we'll talk about it. There's a specific ninja strategy. But it's a much trickier card to play, right? So first off, you have to pay gold. There's no possible way you get to trigger it without spending 2 gold. Then you may target and bow a spell, which is just whatever. You're doing that to your opponent. It doesn't help you to bow. Like, there's no
Yeah.
like bow your spells to do. It's just
It's not a
like
cost. It's a
it's
very
just
weird effect. It sort of
weird.
looks like a cost.
Yeah, it's just there as like extra weapons if your opponent has to have some spells. And then search your fate deck for a ninja strategy, show it, put it into your hand, lose 2 honor, which a lot of the times you won't be losing honor because if you're playing these ninja decks, you'll have one of the sensei that reduces that loss.
Yep.
But so the question is searching for something like Knife in the Darkness worth a dynasty slot? And the answer is no for Knife in the Darkness, but there's a lot of other really cool ninja cards, and so this is probably going to see some play.
Well, this is straight card advantage though because most of the search effects we've seen up to this point have that discard line on them, like um, accepting the choice, or
Sure.
are symmetrical, like
Well,
Wisdom did.
it's turning a dynasty card, a dynasty slot into a fate card can be a little dangerous. The fate card that you get with this has to be really good. And I don't know if we have that yet.
Yeah, yeah.
There's okay, so I'm trying to think like what is the card you really I mean this set has a bunch of ninja actions. The one that comes to mind right away is the one that like makes a guy. I like that one a lot. It makes like two dudes for I forget what the cost is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you wanted to hear my hilarious entry would be to play this in the crab deck that plays the sensei and go get the like straighten your sensei use it again card.
Well, you have to get spinning the web.
Hmm.
Sure. So anyway, this is a
It's a cute card.
it's a potentially really powerful card if ninja strategies are worth sacrificing a dynasty slot for. It's going to take us a couple of more games and some play testing to determine that. And I don't think I'll ever play this card in triplicate. I think at most it's a 2-off.
Yeah, I mean,
But
this could have been a unique card. It would have been fun.
I can see a world where I'm playing this to get ninja cards. I can.
True that. So we'll keep this card in mind as we go through the strategies, and you should too. Hope you enjoyed our little bonus round here, and hope you are enjoying us running through Evil Portents. Leave a comment. Until next time, this has been Enough Talk.